All right, we are going to go ahead and get started here. If we have a couple people trickle in, I know we have some overflow seating still downstairs, but we'll go ahead and get going. So first, I'm going to turn it over. Hope or Ross, if we rock, paper, scissors, who wants to go first? But
thank you very much. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us tonight for the Cass County Whole Home Performance Program Information Session. For those who I have not met yet, my name is Hope Anderson. I'm the Cass County Treasurer. We're very excited to introduce this program to our community. The Whole Home Performance Program brings multiple funding sources together to help eligible homeowners address health and safety concerns, code compliance, energy efficiency, and other critical home repairs. I'd like to recognize several people who helped us get this program to this point, approved and ready to kick off. First off, I'd like to recognize our County Administrator, Jennifer Renfro, Commissioner Roseanne Marchetti, Commissioner Lawrence, I believe, is here. There he is. Ambrosia Neldon, I don't think Ambrosia's here, no. From my office, Anna McCoy, she's downstairs manning the overflow room. Yeah, let's give her a hand. She's amazing. The entire Board of Commissioners, they support this program and they've even given financial support. So we'd like to thank our Board of Commissioners for this. I don't think we have our utility partners here today, but they've stepped up in a great way. That's Midwest Energy, SEMCO, and I&M. So we appreciate their support for this program and their commitment to making this opportunity available to Cass County homeowners. I'd also like to thank Ross Woods from Capital Access. He flew in all the way from New York today. His guidance and assistance throughout this program has been amazing, and we appreciate all that you've done. I'm going to invite Ross to share a few words about this initiative and how it came together. And then after Ross speaks, the Market One team will walk us through the program, including the eligibility requirements, the covered repairs, the application process, and the timeline. There will be time for question and answers at the end. And thank you again for being here. Ross, I will now turn it over to you.
Thank you. And I'd like to put one more punctuation point on those that deserve thanks, and that is Hope Anderson herself, the county treasurer. She's been very much key and crucial to this whole process and bringing this pilot to your community. So my name's Ross Woods. I work with a company called Capital Access, and we're a HUD technical assistance provider. All that means is that we help different communities around the country to implement different HUD-funded programs just to make sure it's as smooth and efficient as possible so we can help the most people. One of the things that we did about 2 years ago was approached HUD about this idea of how can we streamline service to different communities, because there's a lot of different sources of funding that are available at different points in time, but we often throw people through this web to try and figure out how to find access to different sources of funding to help with different aspects of their home. There's Department of Energy funding that's available to help with weatherization assistance to make your home more energy efficient. There's the HUD funding through the Community Development Block Grant, which is one of the reasons we're here tonight. There's utility funds. There's funds through Michigan Health and Human Services to help with lead remediation. There's all these different sources, but often there's a sequencing problem where if you want to get energy retrofit assistance through the Department of Energy and you have an older home and maybe you've got a leaky roof and maybe a hole or two that hasn't been able to be repaired, they're going to put you on a deferral list because they can't serve your home until the roof gets addressed. And there's a lot of situations like that that we're trying to avoid, and we're trying to bring all these different sources of funding under one roof so that we can make the process easier for each of you, so that you can come to one location, fill out one application, and be able to see which of these funding sources that you're eligible for. And we're going to coordinate one coordinated scope to complete one project in your home. So this ultimately will save you the time of having to figure out where to go to find funding and support. And then if you happen to have the sequencing problem I was talking about and need to wait in line and go somewhere else first, we're going to try and eliminate that. Number two, it's going to save you disruption, because we're only going to be in your house one time instead of 3 or 4 times. And it's also going to help the community to where we can serve one home in a holistic manner once, rather than having different agencies do somewhat redundant work to process eligibility and then go back to the home and maybe undo something someone else did just to redo something else. So we're trying to cut through all of that. And that's the point of this whole home performance concept. So one of the things I wanted to point out was that your community, Cass County, is one of 4 communities across the entire country that was selected for this pilot opportunity. The others are Charleston, South Carolina, Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, and Ingham County, a little bit down the road. So you should feel honored that the local leadership here helped to raise their hands and show the need and show the capacity to do something like this that's a little outside of the norm, a little innovative. And we're in this together to really try and see if we can make these different government programs and funding sources work better for you. So that's kind of the goal here. So wanted to thank each and every one of you for coming tonight to learn a little bit more about the program. Thank you for your questions in advance. And we're excited to share this with you guys. And just on a personal note, I've been working on this in the background for the past year, essentially. And so this is very exciting for me to be able to be here with all of you with face-to-face interaction, people that hopefully are going to get some benefit from this program. So thank you so much for being here, showing up, and I'll pass it over now to Market One and Molly to walk through the presentation. Thank you.
All right, everybody. Well, thank you again for being here. I know it's a beautiful day, so you'd probably rather be outside than listening to me talk. So I will be cognizant of that, and we're going to go quick. So first, I guess I should introduce us. We've talked about who the county and who Capital Access are. So Market One, we are the economic development organization for Cass and Van Buren County. So we help communities attract new businesses, we help fund projects, vital infrastructure, and then we also help administer some of these big grants. So when there's a big federal grant out there that takes a lot of effort, that might be cumbersome for some of our smaller municipalities, we're able to step in and act as an extension of their team. So we're really excited to be working alongside the county to administer this program. Everybody cross your fingers that this moves to the next slide. We did it. Hopefully that's the hardest thing tonight, folks. All right, so what is the Whole Home Performance Program? So Ross talked a little bit about it, but we're gonna go over what Whole Home Performance is. We're gonna talk about who qualifies for the program and what repairs are eligible under the program. We're gonna talk about the really exciting part, which is how do you actually get this funding? What does the application look like? And then how long is all of this going to take? So we'll start off, what is Whole Home Performance? So there are a lot of different funding mechanisms out there for doing home repairs. So energy companies have pots of money that they want to give so that you can get energy retrofitting so that you use less of their energy, so they have more energy out there to sell. There's CDBG, which is federal dollars. There's funding through the state. You could spend all day applying and doing applications for home repairs. We don't want you to do that. So what Whole Home is you will apply for one application, and then we will on the back end figure out which grants and which pots of money you're eligible for to do as much work on your home as we can do. So this can be used for interior, exterior, to meet code requirements, replace roof, energy updates to appliances or to insulation, anything that's gonna make your home safe and healthy and energy efficient. The only thing is it can't just be cosmetics. So we're not gonna come in and put brand new landscaping and shrubs and a fresh coat of paint. We're gonna do the big stuff that's really going to improve the livability of your home. So how that works, like we said, you're gonna fill out one application. It's gonna be long, there's gonna be a lot of questions, but we're gonna figure out everything we need, and then on the back end, we are going to figure out what you will be eligible for funding. We're gonna come in, we're gonna walk through the home and do a full evaluation, and that's gonna help us figure out the scope and what order we need to do things. So for example, Ross used the example of doing updates to the electrical. Electricians don't typically like to work under running water, so that's a fun fact. If you have a leaky roof and it's dripping on your electrical panel, they're probably not gonna start with that. So if we need to start with the roof, do those repairs, then we can move on to the electrical, and then maybe we do the appliances. We will figure out all of that, and then we will figure out what funding is gonna be the best to match up with what you need, and then work to help you coordinate those repairs. So helping you find those contractors and folks to actually do that work. So this is a rough overview of some of the eligible repairs and improvements that qualify for this program. I won't read all of them to you, but they're up there. There may be things outside of the scope that are added in. There may be some additional things depending on what funding you're eligible for. But this is kind of a rough idea of some of the things that you can expect with the program. So with all of those different funding streams, like we said, all of them have different requirements because they come from different places. Different organizations have to report differently. One of the important things to note is CDBG, which is the Community Development Block Grant, which is a big chunk of this funding. They have one specific provision that we want folks to know about. Under $10,000 of CDBG, so if in your bucket, only $10,000 of that is CDBG funding, it's a straight grant to the homeowner. You don't have to worry about it. When we're done with the work, we're out. You don't have to worry. If you receive more than $10,000 in CDBG assistance, they do structure it as a no interest forgivable lien on the property for 5 years. So if you are intending to live in your home for more than 5 years, you really don't have to worry about it. You're not gonna make a payment on it. It's not gonna accrue interest. And after 5 years, it's gonna fall off. If your plan is you're gonna get all of these upgrades to your home, you're gonna raise the value of that sucker, and then you're moving to Florida, then that payment, that total amount of the lien will come due out of the proceeds of that home. So it will not exceed $40,000 because that is the cap of the maximum amount of CDBG funding that you can take. So this will look different for each homeowner depending on how much CDBG funding goes into your project. If we can pull from other buckets to cover it and we don't need as much, you won't have to worry about it. But that's something we will walk through with everyone on a case-by-case basis. So it's hard to say you could expect this much depending on what your scope of work is, but just something to be aware of. All right, so let's talk eligibility requirements. So there are different eligibility requirements for each of these pots of funding, like I said, but these are kind of the broad things that you, as kind of a barrier for entry, you will need. So you have to be at or below 80% of the area median income. So on this chart, that top row of numbers is going to be how many folks are in your household. So if it's a one-person household, it's just you, it's going to be 50,300 and kind of so on down that chart. And anybody, if your address on your driver's license is that resident, they're going to count in your household. If you have adult children living with you or dependents, anybody that lives with you is going to be counted in that number. You must be current on your property taxes. It must be your primary residence, so it can't be your second home that you're looking to get repairs on. It has to be the home you live in. And then you must have lived in the home for at least 1 year. And I'm going to add on to that, you must have also owned the home for at least 1 year. So if you just bought this place in June, you're not going to qualify this year, but come back and see us next year and we'll see what we can do. So one other thing about qualifying, and I know we lost a couple people right off the bat in the beginning with this, there are some other communities that have pots of funding just for their community. So if you live in the city of Dowagiac, the village of Cassopolis, the village of Marcellus, Marcellus Township, or the village of Edwardsburg, Good news, there is funding for you, it's just not this. So up here is who you're gonna wanna talk to about that. That's all of their emails. We actually have Sam here today with Market One. We're helping the village of Edwardsburg. So if any Edwardsburg peeps are in the audience, feel free to connect with Sam. I see one right there. The rest of these, we have the emails there so that you can get a hold of those people. I can't speak to the status of where they're at with funding, if they're accepting applications, but that is who you're gonna wanna talk to find out. So if you're still with us and you haven't been ruled out by all of that, you're probably wondering what this process actually looks like. So first step is going to be that application. So we'll talk a little bit about the requirements there and how you're gonna fill that out. But once you fill out the application, we will verify your eligibility. We'll check your income. We'll look at some different documents and we'll talk about what you need to submit. But once we say, yep, you're good from an eligibility standpoint for income, we'll do that comprehensive site evaluation. And that's when we're gonna look at the whole home performance. Look at that. We're gonna walk through and look at all the different things that could be wrong with the home that you wanna do upgrades on. We're gonna figure out what that scope of work looks like, start figuring out where we're gonna pull funding in. We're gonna create that program of work. From there, we're gonna get your go-ahead. We're not gonna do anything to your home that you don't want us to. So we're gonna have you sign off and say, yep, these are the things I want done to my home. We're gonna work on getting some contractors. We'll walk you through that process and help with that. We'll start the work, and then nothing is final until we have a final inspection to make sure everything was done correctly and up to code, and then you're done. So to actually apply for this program, you have two different options. You can do it online. We have a link at our website. It is not up there today. It will be up September 8th. We also don't have the in-person applications today. That's also gonna be September 8th. But when that date rolls around, you can either come here in person to the Cass County government offices to fill out an application, or you can go online to our website, market1.org/CDBG, and it'll all be there. So for applications, we are going to process them on a first come, first served basis. So whoever is first in line, first application in, you're gonna get added in the order you received. Now, we know that these applications are long and they are complicated, and we don't expect everybody to do things 100% right on the first try. So we want everybody to give it the good old college try, get it 99%, submit it. We will let you know if there are any additional documentation you need or any edits. You will have 10 days once we reach out to you to get us that documentation to stay in line. So if you apply and you're number 3 in line, when we say we actually need an updated pay stub and a copy of your deed, and you say great, and you get it to us in 2 days, then you're good, you stay your spot in line. If we reach out to you and then we don't hear from you for 2 months, we're gonna bump you down to the wait list and we're gonna move on to the next person. Reason being, we know there's gonna be a ton of interest in this program. We're gonna have a lot of people that want funds, and we only have so long to get them out the door. So this is a 2-year grant cycle. So we wanna make sure we're prioritizing people who can be responsive and make sure that we can get those funds out to folks that need them so we don't lose it. So when you come to fill out the application, you're gonna need some documentation to go with it. So this is not the end-all, be-all of things you're probably going to need, but this is a pretty good list to get you started. So all applicants are gonna need proof of ownership. That's gonna be your deed. We've had a lot of people ask if things count as a deed. The only thing that counts as a deed is a deed. And you can get that here, and then we can get you a copy. And if you have any questions about how to get that, come find us afterwards. You will need proof of homeowner's insurance. Now, if you do not have homeowner's insurance, if you have a document from your old provider saying we dropped you because you need this specific repair, or a quote from a home insurance provider that says we cannot cover you until you get this specific repair, that can stand in place of home insurance. But we have to have one of those two things. We're also gonna need your most recent mortgage statement if you have a mortgage still. If your home is all paid off, don't worry about it. We're also going to need some verification of your income, and that's any income coming into the home, whether that's you're employed and you're getting regular paychecks, you're on Social Security or disability, if you receive alimony or child support, if you had a really good year at the casino, any income that's coming in, we're going to need documentation of it. And there will be a form that lists out every type of income you can possibly imagine that would qualify this. And if you check the box that says yes, you're going to need to submit documentation along with that. So start thinking about those things in the back of your mind as you get ready for the application. All right, we're also going to need asset verification. So if you have a savings or checking account, we're going to need bank statements from that. They ask for 6 months. The reason is they don't want to say, well, you've got $2 in the bank on your most recent statement, but last month, before you heard about that grant, you had $1 million sitting in the bank, but you just really want to qualify for this. It's a lot harder to fake it for 6 months than it is for 2. So that's why they ask for that. Also, any statements from an IRA, 401k, mutual funds, life insurance, all of that. So again, start thinking about those things. Sam here is our income and asset expert. He looks really happy about that. If you have any questions about specific documentation you might need, he's going to be your guy. All right, so timeline. I mentioned applications are going to open September 8th. That's same for in-person and online applications. They're going to open 9 a.m. both on that same day. We are going to be in person here at the county building on September 8th when applications first open, and then again on September 15th. If you need help filling out the application, if you have any questions, we will be available to walk you through all that. The online application does a lot of prompting of like if you need to submit additional documentation, so it's really helpful. But if you would rather fill it out paper and pencil, we're here for that too. So homeowners will be notified, or applications will open sorry, I came ahead of myself. Open September 8th, close September 22nd. So after applications close, we'll verify all of that eligibility. Homeowners who are eligible and have made for the funding and make it into that round of how much we have available will be notified in November, and then we'll start scheduling initial inspections for that comprehensive site evaluation in December. All right, and as I mentioned, like I said, we will be in person here in Cass County to help do applications. So if you have questions, feel free to reach out to us ahead of time, but if you get there on the day of and you just need someone to walk through it for you, we'll be here, and that will be downstairs in room 140. All right, so I know that was a ton of information really fast, but we have some time for questions. Yes? I'm actually gonna...
If you should pass away, what happens?
Yes, so that was a really good question. If you pass away, what happens then? So we talked about not all of the funding carries that lien requirement. So for CDBG, if the home changes hands for any reason, that payment would come due. And so that includes if it's willed down to someone. So that would be in that situation. Yes?
So you said property tax may be up to date, but what if your income is so low that your property taxes are forgiven?
Yep, that's still eligible, as long as you're not delinquent. So if you have documentation showing that there's been any sort of agreement come to on that thing, you're good. Yes?
Yes, like my property tax, everything come out my house payment. Everything is included in my house payment, my tax, everything. So what do I have to do? Do I have to get something from them, where I pay my house payment at, prove that I am paying?
Yep, so you would just need all of that information will be in the copy of your mortgage statement, which you can include. If we need any additional information, we're very fortunate to have the Cass County Treasurer right here helping with this program. So we know where to go to get most of this stuff if you need help. Yes?
Does a quit deed count?
Sam, quitclaim deed.
I need an affidavit signed by the homeowner to go along with the quitclaim deed, just saying that we can do repairs on the home.
I told you he was good.
I need a warranty deed otherwise, but yeah, quitclaim deed is okay, along with just a signed statement from said homeowner that it's good to go.
Like through a lawyer?
No, it would be just signed by you, you have to go get it notarized, I guess, so I can probably do that here. I'll have to look into it a little bit more, let me give your name and information to verify that, but I just
Can everybody hear me? Great. Yes, so the last question was if a quitclaim deed would count, and Sam said, yes, we just need an affidavit signed by the homeowner, and that would need to be notarized, so yes, that would count.
Okay, you said, oh, wow.
It's loud, I know.
Yes, you said that you had to own your home for a year. Now, do you consider a mortgage as owned?
Yes, if you have a mortgage, that still counts.
Okay, because I just paid my mortgage off, but I've lived there for 12 years.
Yep, as long as you're not renting, as long as you are the owner of the home, like on the deed,
Okay.
then that counts.
Now,
Yes,
where
but a
do we
mortgage
get
is
the
still-
deeds at?
The deed, Cass County Register of Deeds is right here. Is that second floor? Second floor. I'm learning where everything is in the county building
Okay,
today.
thank you.
Sorry. I'll get to you, I promise.
Yeah, I have a question about filling it out online. How would you submit the documents that you need?
Yeah, so
If
there
you're
will be a
filling it
way to
online.
upload those directly into your application. If you don't have the means to, like a scanner, I mean, there's some pretty good apps even for your smartphone now where you can upload documents. But if you want to submit your application and then drop off forms in person, we can do that as well. And I am putting a disclaimer right now. Please do not give me the original copies of your document. If you have one copy of your deed from like 1973, I don't want to have that. I don't want to be the owner of that. If you need us to make copies, we will absolutely do that. So if I actually submit it. So when we get a paper application handed to us, the first thing we do is write down the date and time it was received so that we know. When you do it online, the computer does that for us automatically, which is really nice. So we can see when that was submitted. They will be counted the exact same way. So if we have one in 1201 in person and 1202 online, it's 1201 and 1202 or vice versa. So counted exactly the same.
Okay, thank you.
We had a gentleman over here.
If you have a roommate and they're paying nothing for the home, you're the homeowner, but their address is at your home, you still have to submit them and their information? Because you're
Yes.
paying for everything.
Yes, so if they live in the home, you will have to have them submit documentation as well. Because anyone over the age of, and this is a really good question too, anyone over the age of 18, we will need to verify their income unless they're a full-time student. So even if you have adult children in the home or other dependents, a family member maybe who's on disability that you're caring for, all of that documentation will need to be submitted, and we will need that for everyone.
So I have a quitclaim deed because my grandmother left me and my mother the house, so I inherited it, and it was like several years ago, like 7, 8 years ago. My mother passed away, but I don't have the money to get an attorney to make sure that the deed is just in my name only. So my mom's name is still on it, but she's been gone for 3 years. Can I just bring the death certificate?
Yep, you can just bring the death certificate.
Okay, thank you.
We have learned every possible situation, I think, at this point that can happen with a deed. It's been surprisingly common, a lot of these things is what we're learning.
When you say a first come, first basis, how many are qualified? Do they have a number of people?
It's hard to say because then it's going to depend on what buckets people use. So we know there's X amount in this bucket, X amount in this bucket, X amount in this bucket, but if somebody only 2 people qualify to use this bucket, then we can help a lot more people with that bucket. Maybe we have people that, maybe we set the cap as this much for funding, but nobody needs all of that. So it's really hard to say how many people are going to qualify. There are also other funding potential out there for the future. So even if you end up on a wait list, that does not mean necessarily you're never gonna get any repairs. It may just mean not this round. So it's hard to say exactly like first 20 people or first 50 people. It's really going to depend. We're going to collect all of those applications that come in between the 8th and the 22nd. And then once we figure out, okay, this is kind of what we're going to use here, it may be kind of a rolling decision, and it may come back that, you know, we approve somebody and then for whatever reason they can't take the funding and we come to the next person on the wait list. So, long answer to a very simple question. I don't know for sure how many people are going to end up on that list.
So technically, you guys are capped at a certain point of how much you can give, correct?
Can you say that again?
You're capped at how much you're going to able to give out? Or-
There's different amounts in each bucket. And so there may be some buckets where we empty it out and we can go back and say, can you put some more funding in this bucket, Mr. Energy Company or Mr. CDBG? So hard to say right now.
Okay.
We'll get you next.
I just want to know, is it, will it be faster to fill out the application online rather than coming in here? I mean, how will you fit in when people get qualified?
As far as filling out the application, it just depends how fast you type, I guess. If you want to walk through it with somebody, like if you want to come and do the paper application, that would probably be a little bit slower if we're going through line by line. But if you want to just come, pick up the paper application, sit down and fill it out, I mean, they're going to be pretty much the same. If you're worried about, like, I think I can be number 5 in line if I'm writing it down, and I would be number 10 if I type, that's just going to depend on how fast, because it's going to be the same questions either way. I will say if you want to be really prepared, getting your documentation together ahead of time, and so coming to apply on the 8th with a copy of your deed and your pay stubs and your insurance is going to make it a lot quicker than if it's the day of and you're like, oh shoot, I got to remember where I put all this stuff. So highly recommend getting all of your documents together ahead of time.
I just wanted to know, like, I can come to do, if I have to have my deed. Since my husband passed away, my kids tries to help me keep up with everything, When you get old, you just can't think like that. So if they don't have my deed, if my deed is not in my locker at home, do they have to come here to Cass and get it, or do I get it in Jack?
You have to come to Cass. And
Cass
I would,
County?
yep, I would
Cass.
recommend talking to Miss Hope before you leave today, and she can help you with that.
Okay.
Jennifer, we had a gal up here.
Which one?
Miss in the red shirt.
Yes, I was wondering about last time we applied and we couldn't find any contractors that we couldn't find any. They were just full up all the time. So is there going to be any contractors provided or?
Yeah, so one of the things we did, and we're helping a couple communities with home repair programs. So we have a pool of contractors that we've already pre-approved. They're licensed, they're vetted, and so we are constantly trying to grow that pool of contractors too, because we know 2 roofers can't do 100 homes at once. So if there are other contractors, this is a plug for any other contractors out there who are interested in being part of this program, email Sam.
Yeah.
But yes, we will have a pool of contractors. So if we say you need X, Y, and Z repairs, we can match with, okay, these are our plumbers or these are electricians and help you with that.
Yeah, and it's hard to get them to show up after you call them. It's a real tough thing. So hopefully you'll get somebody that will show up.
Yeah, and we've definitely been taking recommendations.
Yeah.
I thought you had your hand up. No? Okay. Let me get one more. It's still loud.
Okay, this program, if you feel it, everybody's got all the money, and I didn't get any help, can I qualify for next year, or do I have to get all the documents again?
So that's a really good question. So some of the documents have kind of a lifespan. So for example, pay stubs, if we ask for your 2 most recent pay stubs and then we come back to you a year from now and say, hey, we can take your application, there may be additional documentation. Hope I would kind of defer to you of how you want to handle waitlist and pre-qualification for future funding rounds, but okay. Okay.
So we will certainly use that data if we can, but if we can't, we'll reach out to you.
Yeah.
It all has to be updated when we apply.
So if you fill out an application, we will keep you in line, but we may have to come back and say, hey, can you send us some updated information? But you won't necessarily like have to fill out a new application or lose your spot. We'll keep working down that list.
I was just wondering if the quit deed is registered here and they have a copy, is that notarized or whatever? If it's recorded? Okay, yep. Okay, good.
What if the home is modular? Do you need your title also?
Sam, modular homes and title. Okay. Yeah, we'll take down your name and your information, and we can just put a star next to the sign-in sheet. But I will say for modular homes, you have to own the home and the land it's on. It
Yeah.
has to be on a permanent foundation as well, so like a mobile
it's-
home.
I've owned it for 25 years, so.
Perfect.
I just went through that, and I had a modular home. State of Michigan considers it a mobile home. So you have to register with the state, get an affidavit of a fixture, then send it back to the state to get that qualified, and then you send it to the register to register the property. So if you don't have any of that, you better get busy.
Good to know. Thank you, sir. All right, do we have any other questions? All right, well, we are going to hang around. If you have any really specific situation where you're like, I don't want to ask this in front of everybody, we will be here. If we have your email, we will send you a reminder when applications open on the 8th. You also have our contact information up there if there's any questions you think of when you go home tonight. But thank you all for coming, and we'll see you on September 8th.